They called it the Amazon of the dark web, a place where you could buy anything: drugs, weapons, fake passports, even hitmen, all with a few clicks and absolute anonymity. But what most people don't know is that this billion-dollar empire wasn't built by a cartel or a hacker group. It was built by one man, a quiet, idealistic 26-year-old from Texas. His name was Ross Ulbricht. And this is the story of how a man who wanted to change the world accidentally created the biggest illegal marketplace in internet history. Ross Ulbricht wasn't born a criminal. He was smart, the kind of guy teachers remembered. Good at math, polite, calm. He studied physics at the University of Texas, then went on to earn a master's in engineering. But somewhere between equations and late-night philosophy talks, Ross started to feel trapped. He hated the idea of government control, taxes, restrictions, everything. He wanted freedom, complete freedom, not just for himself, but for everyone. Around 2010, Bitcoin had just appeared, this strange new digital money that no one controlled. For Ross, it was like finding a key to a door he'd always imagined. He started to dream. What if there was a marketplace where people could trade freely, without the government, without banks, without anyone watching? That's when he wrote in his journal, "The goal is to have a place where people can buy whatever they want, without violence." And with that thought, the idea for Silk Road was born. In 2011, from a small rented room in Austin, Texas, Ross set up his laptop. He opened Tor, a browser that lets users hide their identity, and started coding. He wasn't a top-tier hacker, but he was relentless. Line by line, he built the first version of Silk Road, a simple but genius system. Anonymous accounts, Bitcoin payments, encrypted messages. It was almost untraceable. At first, only a few people found the site, mostly libertarians and tech geeks, but soon, the drug dealers came, and then the buyers. And within months, Silk Road exploded. There were listings for cocaine, LSD, ecstasy, even fake IDs and hacking tools. But everything was hidden behind layers of encryption. To get in, you needed Tor, Bitcoin, and a personal invite. It was like a secret digital underworld, a black market that existed beyond the reach of any law. By the end of 2011, the site had tens of thousands of users. Ross was earning millions in Bitcoin, but no one knew who he was. He called himself Dread Pirate Roberts, a reference to the Princess Bride, a character who passes his identity from one person to another, making him immortal. To his users, Dread Pirate Roberts wasn't a person, he was a legend. A digital Robin Hood. A man who built a free economy where the government had zero power. But what Ross didn't realize was that his creation had already caught the eye of people who hated freedom, at least the kind he was offering. By 2012, Silk Road had become too big to ignore. It was responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal transactions. Politicians called it a threat to national security, and the FBI launched a massive secret investigation. But there was a problem. No one knew who Dread Pirate Roberts was. Every server was hidden, every transaction encrypted. Agents couldn't even tell what country it was hosted in. So the FBI built a task force, agents from Homeland Security, the DEA, and the IRS. They spent months crawling through forums, following Bitcoin wallets, trying to find a single mistake, and then they found one. An early Silk Road forum post, made under the username Altoid, which also mentioned an email. It was a tiny crack, but enough to get their attention. As the FBI hunted Ross, Ross himself was living a double life. To his friends, he was just another guy working on a website. He lived quietly in San Francisco, often working from coffee shops, his laptop always open, his eyes darting around. He knew people were looking for him. He started using encrypted chat apps, running Silk Road through multiple proxy servers, even paying others to maintain the site so no one could trace his IP. But Silk Road was growing faster than ever. By 2013, it had over $1.2 billion in total sales. Vendors operated like businesses. Customer reviews, refund policies, even Prime-style delivery promises. It was organized chaos. The underground had gone corporate, and yet, things were starting to slip. Some of Ross's employees turned out to be undercover agents. One of his moderators was leaking information, and internally Ross started to spiral. He wrote in his journal, "I wish I could just walk away, but I've built something that's bigger than me." He even considered hiring someone to kill a former employee who threatened to expose him. The hit never actually happened, but those chats would later become key evidence. October 1st, 2013. A quiet afternoon in the Glen Park Library, San Francisco. Ross sat at his usual table, his laptop open. He was chatting with one of his site admins, who, unbeknownst to him, was an undercover FBI agent. Outside, plainclothed officers waited. They had a plan: catch him with his laptop open and logged in as Dread Pirate Roberts. If he closed it, they'd lose everything. The encryption would lock instantly. One agent pretended to fight with another couple near his table, drawing Ross's attention. Another agent snuck behind him, snatched his laptop, and held it open. "Got it," the agent said. And in that instant, the digital empire of Silk Road collapsed. The FBI now had everything: chat logs, financial records, private journals. Ross had documented almost every detail of his journey, from his dreams of freedom to his fears of being caught. It was all there. In 2015, Ross Ulbricht was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 40 years, with no chance of parole. At the trial, the prosecution called him a digital kingpin. The defense said he was a naive idealist who got in too deep. His mother, Lynn Ulbricht, still fights for his release today. And the debate continues. Was Ross a dangerous criminal, or a visionary who simply believed too much in freedom? Because here's the truth: the Silk Road didn't die with Ross. After his arrest, dozens of copycat markets appeared. The dark web became even darker, and the line between freedom and lawlessness blurred forever. Ross Ulbricht was 29 years old when the world he built came crashing down. He never touched the drugs, never carried a gun, never even met most of the people he worked with. He just built a system, and the world used it in ways he couldn't control. In one of his final journal entries before being caught, he wrote, "I wish I could undo it, but at the same time, part of me is proud. I proved it was possible." So what do you think? Was Ross Ulbricht a criminal genius, or just a man who pushed an idea too far? Because sometimes the line between innovation and destruction is only a few keystrokes apart. If you enjoyed the true story, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up as it helps our channel grow. We'll see you in the next video.